Okay, update. This is December 10th. My last update was September 27th, so not a lot has been done. Haven't had a lot of chance to get out here. My last update, I did show that the cork roadbed for the narrow gauge was down, and I talked about a couple of things with it, whether I was going to do some elevation over in here, and I finally did. It's kind of hard to see, but there is elevation there. It goes up one width of the end scale cork roadbed, so it does go up a quarter of an inch higher and then back down in that area there. And there's also a little bit over there in this curved section there, but not a lot, but just enough to make a little bit of an elevation change. I do have track down. It's pinned down. It's not tied down or glued down yet. I just wanted to pin it down and then run engines around to and cars to see how everything went. And I did run into some problems, and it mostly has to do with me being cheap and sticking with, well, I was sticking with Atlas turnouts, and they were giving me a problem with all three of the engines. I have one engine that's actually a box cab that uses a Kato 11-103 chassis, and it was having problems in this section along here, obviously, especially in the turnout. And so then I went to a couple of N scale engines that I have, and they were having a little bit of problems too. And so I said, oh, you know what, heck with this. So I went ahead and bought a couple of Pico turnouts, and they weren't giving me a problem at all. And obviously it's a difference between quality stuff and okay stuff. The other thing I noticed too, and a lot of you probably already know this, is the frog. Frogs are a lot shorter. The Atlas frog is almost twice as long as the Pico frog, and which, kind of interesting. And the other thing I like about the Pico is the snap, and so I like that about it. That was one of the things I was kind of wondering what I was going to do, especially up here in the top, is what I was going to do for turnout controls. And I'm doing everything manually. Everything is going to be manual. There's no electric switches, tortoise switches, or anything like that. It's all going to be manual, like I have over on the standard gauge. And so I wasn't sure what I was going to do up here, and make it look right. So what I can do is probably build myself something that looks kind of cool and looks proper, but may not activate. I just may rely on the snap switches here, the spring control here. So that would be kind of cool and solves the problem. But the other problem is it delays everything, because now I got to get some more switches, some more turnouts. And as you may know, I am on a tight budget, so I have put that on my Christmas wish list. We'll see what I put a couple more switches on my Christmas wish list, and we'll see what happens there. See how nice the family is to me. But so that's it. And part of the reason too is it's cold out here. Right now it is about 48 degrees, and it's windy outside. You can't hear it, fortunately, but it's a bit breezy, so it's really kind of cold. And so I don't really want to stay out here for very long. I come out and run a train around and play around a bit, and then I run back into the house and warm up. So not much happening here. However, in a moment here, I want to take you someplace, and I'll take you into the house, and I'll show you what else I got going on. So we're going to head into the house. Okay, so this is in part of the front bedroom, and this is a diorama that I started actually a couple of years ago, before I actually said, okay, I'm going to do model railroading. I said, let me play around with this and see what happens. So put together a board that is 5 feet long, 15 inches wide, and I grabbed up some old track that I had, and it is old brass track. I do mean it's old Atlas stuff. And so I sat down and I threw together this little thing. Now I call this Camp 3Ys because there's 3Y turnouts. And my original idea is just to build a little oh, engine service area right here in this framework right here was going to be an engine house. Of course, it was going to extend a little farther. It was going to be back here with a workshop area, 2 engines, and then something like a main line that would come in here and then travel on through to one area. Then you could come in, back in, and do the engine service. There was going to be water tower, sand house, yard office, oil area, all kinds of different stuff in here. Well, then I decided, I liked it enough. I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to do a model railroad. And so I set this aside, and I did play around with, ballasting the track and a little bit of ground cover and some dead bushes and stuff. And I put in some manual turn throws from, I guess those guys are from Caboose Industries. They're pretty cool, but they're a pain in the ass to operate, especially with these switches, because these switches are tight. They're hard to operate. But anyway, so I went on to the full-size layout and just pretty much left this alone. Well, then as the weather turned, I said, you know what, I got to still play around with stuff. And I don't want to just drop it during the winter time because it's too cold out in the garage. So I said, alrighty. So I pulled this out, and the wife gave me permission to set it in the front part of the bedroom here, since it really doesn't take up a lot of space. And so I put the backdrops in, and then I started working on mountains, and because that's what I'm going to need to model in the on the main layout is some fairly steep mountainside. And so I said, okay, I'll just do that here. So I went to Home Depot to get some foam, and of course the Home Depot in my town is not the best Home Depot in the world, but it had a big sheet of white 1-inch foam. And so I have a foam cutter and stuff, so I did that. I bought it, brought it home, and started laying it out. The idea is this is going to be a shear face here, the main line going out, then a tunnel with another line that goes out to somewhere else. Finish at the mountaintop, it'll be up here somewhere, and then it'll come down, slope down, rocks covering this, rock part here, and then a little bit of ground cover, and then it'll slope down over and down in here, and be this ground cover here will start to match that pretty much. I'm going to change this. My model railroad, the main layout, is going to be more of a forest logging operation, so it's going to be nice and green and stuff. This I started playing around with more of a dry, but I'll change this, may add to it, add the green into here, and just leave the dry here. I don't know yet. But anyway, so I've also been playing around with rocks, painting the rocks, and that was my first one, and it unfortunately the background to it was kind of dark. Started off with a really dark gray, and came up with that. And then I played around with this smaller one, and it was a lighter gray background, or base coat. If I can get it to focus, nah. But it turned out okay. And then my last attempt the other day was this guy. It still needs a little bit of work, still needs a little bit of stuff, but and it's slightly too red for me. But I want the mountains to be more of a red-brown, dark brown or light brown. I don't want the old granite-looking, dark granite-looking stuff like everybody else does. I gotta be freaking different. So that's what I'm gonna do. Anyway, so probably my next update will show more on this, getting this mountain shaped and cut in. And I probably still will do some model building. That's the real reason why I do model railroading, is the modeling part. I like building stuff. For me, it's all about the building and making everything look kind of cool, look right. So that's it. Oh, one of the other things I did too is I finished up a couple of my what I'm going to be using as tunnel maintenance sheds. These were the sheds that I got from They were a gift, but they were from Foscale, and they didn't turn out too bad. More practice, more getting used to it. It's been a long time since I've done any small modeling and stuff, so getting into it again. I like it. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, so that's it. We're December 10th, and not a lot going on, but at least I'm staying active with it, and we'll see when my next update is. And by the way, geez, I'm up to 12 subscribers. What are you guys doing to me? If I get to 20, I may have to have a contest or something. I don't know. I appreciate you guys subscribing and watching these and commenting, especially comment. Let me know what you do. Let me know if you have ideas, how your layout's doing, what you've tried, what you failed at. And that's what I'm going to do here is just show what I'm failing at and what I'm trying and what I'm doing. Oh, by the way, these guys, the technique I used and was from a couple of guys. I'll probably put them in their link. I can't remember. One of them was a terrain tutorial or something like that. I'll try and put it in the links. But the other thing too is I've been watching a lot of videos from a guy by the name of Jason Jensen. And I'll try and put a link in the description too of him. He does some outstanding modeling. The guy is fabulous. If you haven't seen his stuff, you need to see his videos. He does an outstanding job of modeling structures and scenes and stuff. He's working on a harbor scene that I've been watching. Beautiful, beautiful work. Anyway, okay, well, thanks again, all the subscribers and those that are viewing. Thanks again, and you guys take care. Bye.